Hey guys, I'm Ryker. Okay. Hey guys, I'm Ryker Baloun from Ryker Baloun Official on Instagram, and I was just interviewed by Keith Andrews. It was absolutely terrific, and I hope you guys enjoy.
Ryker Baloun, and it's a
Yes,
real honor and privilege to have you as a guest. And I just want to say thank you for joining the KeithAndrewNetwork.
I'm very glad to be here.
No, the honor's all mine. For people who want to know what my talk show is about, whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities to never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. To prove to them you can still amount to something. So hashtag break the labels. That being said, half hour, 37 minutes, half hour, 27 minutes every time. But you have as much time as you like. And for people who want to know who Mr. Ryker is, you are an actor, a host, and a reporter.
Yes, I've been in your shoes as a host. I'm very glad to see what you do. It's so amazing because you show it with hard work. It doesn't matter. Things can be harder, but with hard work, you can still persevere, and you can do whatever you put your mind to, and you do not give up. And that is something I admire about you.
No, absolutely. I really appreciate that. And I saw some of your interviews where you actually were on the red carpet.
I very much enjoy the red carpet because it's so crazy. You never know what's gonna happen, and you have to catch the celebrities as they're walking by and just try and steal their attention. Yeah, I love the red carpet, and I interviewed Tiffany Haddish and Byron Allen, Raven Simone, some amazing people, and I'm so honored and blessed.
No, absolutely. And actually, while on the subject, what was the very first thing that you did? Were you an actor? Were you a reporter? You mentioned you also were a reporter, but you were also a host. But what was the very first thing that you did that you started your career?
I started as an actor. I started when I was 4 years old, but I really started getting into it when I was 12. Like 12 is when I realized this is what I'm doing. Like I started to understand I can't just say I'm an actor. I have to put in the work and do this. And that comes with maturity and age and time. So I realized that when I was 12 and I started acting like fully. And then I wanted to work up my Instagram numbers because lots of people check out how many numbers you have before they book you for a role. So I built that up, and that got me into interviewing as a host. That got me a job as a host interviewer and a reporter for an event, and then I started hosting, and that's where I'm at right now.
No, absolutely. Now, you bring up a good question about numbers, but we can get to that in a couple minutes. But the first thing I want to ask you is you mentioned you were a talk show host and actually interviewee. So you get to interview all these great people. Would you
Yeah.
be interested in doing a special project where you get to interview me?
Well, I get to interview you? Definitely. Definitely. I definitely have to talk it over with my parents and everything, my team. But interviewing you would be very fun because I think I just want to show I want to show the world you. And I mean I don't have a huge platform, but I'm working on it. And I want to be able to show as many people as possible how strong you are and how well you've really made a name for yourself. And you just, man, you're an inspiration. And I want people to see that.
No, absolutely. You help me, I help you. That's what the business is about, giving
Yeah,
back. But
absolutely.
you mentioned something earlier about your numbers. So well, I'm going to ask you some questions and then I'm going to pass it over to you. You can ask me whatever you want. Like I said, normal conversation, making a new friend out of it. But the
Yeah.
first one I want to ask you is social media. Can show can social media make you or break you? Because you did mention that you have a big following and those numbers did I can't even talk. I should have more
Absolutely.
coffee. Those numbers that you mentioned of your big following helped you get certain parts. So, with that being said, does social media make you or break you? So, does Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, do those numbers dictate? Apparently, it worked for you, but do those numbers dictate if people should work with you, or is it about the message?
Okay, so does it make you break you? It's a complicated question. So, social media, it helps you. It's a tool and an accessory. It gets you. I want to be an actor. Acting is where my passion lies. Hosting, everything. I love it because it's all about this industry and entertainment, and I just love everything about it. So I just want to do anything and everything in this business. So social media was a way to get more parts because sometimes you can be a great actor, but sometimes independent films, they need people to watch the movie. So they look for an actor with like a social media following. So that's why I built social media, and it's definitely helped me. But you don't necessarily need to have a big presence at all on social media to book parts. Like, especially Stranger Things, like big shows, like all these big Netflix shows and Nick shows or Disney shows, they don't care really about social media because they don't need more people to watch. It's Disney.
Yeah.
Like they of course want that, but they don't need you to get your audience out there because everyone knows about Disney. So in that case, you wouldn't really need it. But in independent films and smaller shows, I think they look at that way more. So it doesn't necessarily make you or break you, but it only helps. So that's where I started at.
No, absolutely. You mentioned some great names like Disney, Nickelodeon, and I do want to ask you about that in a couple of minutes. But you look at certain things. I give you an example. You look at Burger King, you look at McDonald's and Domino's. They do advertisements, but they don't really have to do any advertisements because they're a household name. Yes. So for like an example, me, I constantly need put my face out there because like no one knows who you are. Because if you're a C-lister or a D-lister, you work from the bottom. And I would say you more of a B-lister, kind of like a C-lister. But let me ask you, without any label out there, how do you see yourself? I mean, do you think that if you walked outside, people will be like, "Oh my God, Mr. Ryker, can I please get your autograph?" Or is it like, "Oh, that's Mr. Ryker"? So people acknowledge you, but you're not on the scale of Robert Downey Jr.
Of course not, no. Even though I did see him, but I didn't get the interview. But me, though, personally, I look at myself, as just a kid with good morals, in my opinion. Good morals, and I try to do the right thing. I try to be nice, and that's personal. But like in this business, the way I think people look at me, I honestly think it gets overshadowed by the way I hold myself. Like, they don't necessarily look at me and be like, I know him from somewhere. They just, because I try to radiate friendship, basically. I just want to be friends with everyone. I walk into a room and I try to be confident, and I try to just be friendly. So, yeah, and approachable. So I think that's what people notice before they notice anything. But I mean, if I go to like a party in LA, and I get invited, some people be like, "Oh, that's Ryker," because they're also in the industry, and I guess they know me sometimes, but I'm definitely not big enough to walk outside and people know me unless it's like my friends from school that they're like, "Oh my God, you do Instagram," because I go to charter school, so it's really fun because I get to do high school, but at the same time I get to do what I love, and I get the best of both worlds. So I'm really living the best life.
Absolutely. I actually reached out to one of your friends. I'm horrible at pronouncing names, but his name started like AY. He kind of has a similar hairstyle.
Yes.
Who?
Is it Aiden?
Yeah, I think so. It's on your Instagram. It's the very first picture that you see. It's like you guys were hanging out.
Oh, it's got to be Aiden then. I'm always with Aiden. Aiden's like, he spreads positivity. He's got his own shirt brand. He's such an amazing person, and he's all about positivity and really rubs off on me because I'm just we're both like these positive influencers, and that's what I want to be. And it keeps me happy, and it keeps the people watching, and it makes them happy, so they want to watch more. And
No,
that's
absolutely.
all you can do.
And one thing I do want to point out is, hey, if you can put a good word in for me, I appreciate that. But it doesn't matter if you become an A-lister, you have millions of dollars. What really stands out about you and what really stands out about the person is your heart, your passion, and your character. For an example, my sister was in a bar, and this famous guy from, I think it was like Allstate or State Farm, are you in good hands?
All right.
And he's a big name actor, and he walked right over to people, shook their hand, and he was upfront. He was friendly. It doesn't matter if you're like, Beyonce. It doesn't matter if you're like, Donald Trump. You
Yeah.
have all this money and fame. All of that doesn't mean a damn thing when you die. For me, how I want to be remembered when I die is saying, what I remember about Keith is he has a good heart, he has a good personality, he was nice enough to give me an opportunity, be on a show. He was nice enough to just walk over and talk to someone. There's hundreds of famous actors out there that had their heads way up their ass and think they're so much better than anyone else. But the truth of the matter is, we all start from the bottom and we work our way up. So they're not better than you, you're not better than them. But as long as you're respectful and you come across legit, that resonates right there with so many people, because don't be a carbon copy of somebody else. Yes, I like Robert Downey Jr. and I kind of, mirror his image, his cockiness and
Robert Downey Jr.
but I don't want to be Robert Downey Jr. Jr. I want to be my own person.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan. So,
Oh my.
are you a Dragon Ball fan?
I'm not, but I remember I'm not. I've seen a little bit of it, but in like seventh grade, everyone was a huge, because like we were just getting exposed to like Dragon Ball Z and everything. It was really big when I just started like growing up, and all the kids were like, "Oh my gosh!" And lots of them don't like it. Well, like it. Everyone likes it. At least a little bit. But some of them are still like huge fans in it. I never really picked it up. I'm Stranger Things fan here, Hamilton fan, all these things. That's my kind of stuff.
No, absolutely. There's a line where the guy's like fighting Vegeta, and it's like, you reek of arrogance, and he answers back, "You're goddamn right. That's pride in who I am." But you have to have pride on who you are, and you don't walk around like you're, what to say, you're the shit or something. You just say that. For me, because I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan, so I walk around like Goku on the inside. I have the heart and passion, do what's right, make a difference in people's lives, no matter what. But on the outside, I kind of am like Vegeta, where I'm cocky and I'm arrogant. But you always have to have that balance to yourself. If you always become, for me, I said to my parents, I would never change who I am, and then I'll pass it over to you. I would never change who I am, regardless if I become famous. If I became an A-lister, I would cut myself in half. 50% of saying, okay, enjoy the fame and the fortune, because you don't know how long that's going to be around. But at the other side of that 50%, you have to stay humbled, you have to stay respectful, because you're going to meet the same people going up as you're coming back down. So don't make waves, don't burn any bridges. I'm guilty of doing both.
Yeah.
But it's a process. You just don't change who you are, because at the end of the day, you have to look yourself in the mirror and you have to like what you see. You don't want to be the type of person of like, I'm looking at my reflection and I don't like what I see.
Yeah, on the inside, man. That was really well put. That was fantastic. And people want you to succeed, and because you're humble and you're loving, you're caring, you're just a great person. And my goal is, I've said it a lot of times in past interviews, but it's to be the most real person in Hollywood. And because lots of people, I don't want to say they're fake, but everyone puts on their Hollywood face, and that's fine. Everyone does that, but I want to, because of the way YouTube works and everything's starting to work, you can really show who you are through your own platforms. So I just want, I got to get famous first. You got to get famous first. I'm not going to burn any bridges, but once I'm up there, I just want to be real. I want to show who I truly am. I want to go meet people. And I want to be approachable. And everyone who, like you said, with your sister and the bar, he was just, you're not famous unless you're nice. People, if you're mean, they won't want you to succeed. And so they're not going to get you there. I'm getting spammed on my computer now, but like, you have to be nice and a good person for people to want to help you succeed, because there's no way you're getting there by yourself ever. There's no way. So
No, absolutely. Now, the next question I want to ask you is, who were some of your favorite people who you ever interviewed and got the chance to meet? And what was it like to be on the red carpet?
okay, this answer might surprise a lot of people, including you. Out of all the people, well, first of all, Tiffany Haddish just had she just radiated this amazing, she's just such just an amazing person to be around. But she puts on a little bit of a mask, I guess. But it's her Hollywood personality. It's fantastic. It's who she really is. But she was one of my favorites, and I interviewed Aiden Meekus, a friend of mine. And neither of us are really big yet, but he was also one of my favorites because, we just help each other, and he's just such a great person. Interviewing my friends, interviewing people who I went to, the Stars of the Valley. It was a place near my home, and there was lots of heroes, people who had cancer and leukemia, and it was really sad. And interviewing some of them was just, well, these people they're so wise, and they're like, some of them are only like 14 my age, and I was like, people who are my age are struggling down. I'm like, gosh, I'm getting emotional, but like, that is just, holy crap. I mean, like, just seeing how wise these people are and how smart and their perspective on life, it was so enlightening, and it's helped me a lot. Be grateful.
No, absolutely. Now, I'm going to do something special. I'm going to pass the show over to you. Usually I do like the last 5 minutes left of the show, but let's have some fun with this. Was there anything you wanted to promote, anything you wanted to talk about, ask me? I have no cards on my sleeves, so you can say whatever you want, PG-13. This is your time. Passing the show over to you.
Well, if there's anything I want to promote, I want to promote you, because we need more people like you in the industry. Stop spamming me, Jacob. But what the heck? Dora the Explorer? What are they typing anyway? This is weird. But yeah, I'm Ryker Baloun. You can search up Ryker_Baloun_official. That's me on Instagram. I try to spread a good message, and I just want everyone to be more grateful. And but Keith, so when did you start hosting and interviewing?
For me, I started on June 13. Now, actually, I don't remember the date, but I don't know, say like the 10th or something. 13's a lucky number. I'm Jewish. And they said in the Jewish community, 13's a lucky number. So let's just go with June, because it was June 2013. I just don't remember the exact day and time, but let's just say June 13th, 2013. I used my dad for an inspiration. He had met so many people, He met Al Pacino. He had lunch with Al Pacino. He met Tony Bennett, Mayor Giuliani. He was on Canyon Heroes. He met John Glenn. He had Wesley Snipes in his class when he was a kid. So I use my dad as a big inspiration. I use some of my other, I use my brother for an inspiration. But mostly I use my dad. Long story short, there's so many different variations. I use my brother for an inspiration. I use my dad for an inspiration. But the long story short is I got tired of using my disability as a crutch. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. People will feel sorry for me. Things will just be handed to you. But at the same time, I realized after the fact that you're labeling yourself as an influence, because you're saying you don't have to do this, you don't have to do that. So it's never good to label yourself, because I was like, oh, I don't have to do this. Like, for an example, when you go into high school, you got to take like the SATs.
Yeah.
For me, like, I don't have to do that because I have a disability. So I call it the boomerang effect. You throw the boomerang and it goes. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. But then you realize the boomerang comes back the opposite way and it whacks you upside the head. And it's like, what did I just do to label myself? Now people think, yeah, I'm just a kid with a disability who's on the spectrum of being retarded because I read and learn at a 5th grade level. I learn things at a slower pace. So I just completely dug a hole for myself. So I got tired of using my disability as a list. Yeah, I think you're the third person I actually said this to. It actually started with a birthday wish. People say when you turn 21, it's the most special birthday you can have in an entire life. You live only once. And are you a wrestling fan?
I'm not a wrestling fan, but
there's a wrestler named CM Punk, and his gimmick was straight edge. And he's like, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs. I like to walk to the beat of my own drum, and I have no filter, so if it pops in my head, I just blur it out like a bad case of diarrhea. But it's kind of like, I like doing things at my own pace. So I decided if I have to die, I would like to have a couple famous friends. Of course, I approached a couple people like, hey, I have a disability. I extend my hand to you in friendship. And of course, I was told, go blank myself by a couple people saying, you're a lowlife, you're a parasite, we don't deal with people like you. So I'm like, okay, how can I be professional? And how can I get my birthday list at the same time? And I was thinking about, I do have a disability. Why not use that as a strength instead of a weakness? And in 2013, I did 72. Don't ask me. I wish I had $1 for every time I said this. I wish I knew what I knew now, but I did 72 phone interviews. My very first interview I ever did was with Barbara Goodson, someone I would recommend. It's really nice. Barbara Goodson did the voice of Rita Repulsa from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And then I got Ron Axel on the show before he passed away, Kerrigan Mayhem. But I don't like talking on the phone because I get like anxiety and panic attacks. So I did it over. And I give you an example. If you go to the KeithAndrewNetWork on YouTube.com or my Facebook fan page, you get to see season 1. And what season 1 is, how you see your reflection on my phone, that's what the camera picked up, because I was just recording directly from the computer screen. I didn't want to be seen. And someone came across my brother and said, oh, we came across your brother's show. It's really interesting. Why is he in a small box? And I said, I don't want to be seen. This is not about me. This is about you. And they're like, well, you can't have it both ways. If you want to be famous, you want to put yourself out there, you have to expose yourself and say, this is who I am. So 2013 to about 15, I was recording from the phone. 2015, I was using Skype. Skype has a third-party software called Ecamm, ECAMM. It's like about $30, $40 if you want to use FaceTime, and you get to record it. So you get to see towards season 3 to season 4. It's went from the phone to the computer screen to it's cut in half. Only recently I actually downloaded Zoom. Now I have a virtual background. So for 7.5 years, you saw a process. Now, a lot of people said to me, why didn't you do this from the very start? Maybe I should have, and maybe I would have been where you are right now with all those followers. But I did things ass backwards, and I wanted to show you there was a process from point A to Z. I just didn't want to go 1 to 10. I wanted to show you 1, 2, 3, because I did things like that.
You had to build yourself, and you learned a lot along the way. I'm 100% sure. And you touched on something I want to mention because I think it could help you as much as it helped me, and I just learned this like a week and a half ago. But one of a producer, friend, and teacher of mine, he was talking, and when I do interviews, I always usually put the person above myself. But he said, Ryker, you have so much to bring, and you have to be equals with that celebrity, no matter who they are. If it's Robert Downey Jr., you have to be equals. You have to know that you're giving them something. Maybe I'm giving them followers or people who watch me, I guess, and they're getting that exposure. And I mean, it's in return, you have to be confident it's your show, and they have to know it's your show. So you should be in control, and you should talk as equals. And I used to always put them above me. Which I still usually do because it's so weird because you always have to have respect, of course, and I respect everyone no matter what, especially you're an adult. Everyone who's any adult I respect, especially because that's just the way I was raised. And so I hope that is advice that can help you as treat people as equals on your show, because you bring so much to the table as well. So.
No, absolutely. Now, I do have a couple questions for you off the air, but everyone, to that point, every single person who I have on my show, it doesn't matter if they have learning disabilities or just disabilities, I treat people how I want to be treated. For an example, I gave you an opportunity. I'm extending my hand to you in friendship, and that's what the show is about. Making a message, and you're making a friend out of it. But the main core of the whole message is to show you, treat people how you want to be treated. When I came across your profile, I liked your stuff, and I was like, you know what? This is somebody I really want to be friends with, and give them an opportunity. Because I am the type of person who will never receive any opportunities. So I created all my own opportunities.
Yeah.
So for me to give back to people like you, it's just saying, how do I want to resonate? How do I want to relate to this person? We're both in the entertainment business. Well, I like to believe I am.
Oh, we definitely both are, because everything about this is entertainment.
No, absolutely. You need to be on. I'm not saying you're better than me, even though you do have a lot more followers.
But yeah, numbers don't mean it. Absolutely.
No, I agree with you. But like I said, numbers don't matter. It's the heart and passion. And if, like I said to you in the very beginning. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's the personality. It's just I keep cutting you off. It's you gotta because it's not about the numbers. It's about who the person is, and it's about what they spread, what they stand for, and what they're trying to do, what their goals are, and all that. So that's what matters, not the numbers, and you know that. Just everyone out there, who's watching. It's informative, whatever that was. Or go ahead.
Well, I agree with you. People, well, I want to ask you this last question, then we can wrap up. And don't get annoyed by it. I just want to ask you for your honest opinion. People say they can buy numbers. For me, I started to do that, but then I realized I don't want fake accounts. I don't want spam bots. If you follow me, I purposely reach out to every single person. I have 1,400 people following me because I reached out to every single person and said, this is my message. For you, how do you feel? Do you think it's never easy to say, okay, I'm going to pay you $50, give me 55,000 people to follow me? Because when that can easily bite you in the ass because they're going to ask you, how did you get so many people? And they're like, oh, I paid them off. But if you interacted with a large number of people, then you can say, yes, I approached every single person and I earned it instead of taking the shortcut. So with your following, how would that relate to you? Did you, because you are on the red carpet, you were on TV, you have massive exposure, and that helps a lot with your following. So do you think that, say you have 3,000, I don't know how to say it, like 35K, just because you have a large following, do those dictate if you should be above the rest?
You should never be above the rest. That is, okay, so you have 1,400 people that you've reached out. You've made 1,400 friends. You've impacted 1,400 lives. You've made people happy. You've made me happy with this call. You've made me feel like I'm doing something right, and you've made my day. So me, it's much lighter for me. As much as I want to impact everyone who follows me, and I want them to see my posts because most of I post cool stuff, and people are just like, oh, that's cool. Oh, he's with. I usually collab with like my friends. Do a little collaboration, and then people are like, oh, that's that. I've seen that guy. I'm gonna drop a follow real quick. It's super light, but then when they follow me, then they can see the stuff I actually post. And I do post all these light things, there's pictures, and then sometimes, every once in a while, I don't get sad or anything or depressed. I just get real, and it's just the way the perspective on life. And it's just the way I wake up every day and how I make the best day. Every day is a great day. And it's all about, it's in the mind. I have everything. I mean, I had to go through some tough stuff in my life. And I'm only 14, but I've had to go through some tough stuff to realize that. And I know it keeps happening. Gosh, should have muted that. But I've got a full amazing family, and my parents are together, and I've got a brother who is he is on the spectrum, but he is just the smartest person I've ever met. He's got like Einstein's syndrome or whatever it's called. He's so brilliant. He had like 113% in history in his like freshman year. Like he's such the most caring person I've ever met in my entire life. And he's just my brother. I mean, I'll never look at him differently, and it means absolutely nothing that he's on the spectrum. He's just a person, and I love him. So, I mean, why am I getting emotional? But I mean, just, where was I? I totally got off track. But yeah, you've impacted a lot of people. It's amazing.
No, absolutely. Now, I do have a couple questions for you off the air. But the first question I want to ask you is, how can people follow you on social media? And one thing I would actually recommend is to get on LinkedIn and make your own. I know you have your own website, but the big thing about LinkedIn is you can get recommendations, and you can share those recommendations on your Facebook fan page. And the point is, the more recommendations you have on your Facebook and your LinkedIn and your website, the more it actually shows that you have a lot of supporters. You can have people follow you. But when it comes to push to shove, if you have proof, say on this day, I look at my website for an example, for anyone out there, KeithAndrewNetWork.com. go to recommendations. I have recommendations from celebrities and people who I interviewed, all the way going back to 2015. And I just have a whole list that's going on and on. So that is something I would recommend for you. Get on all social medias, get recommendations, make a solid foundation. Because my mistake was I started from the top working down, but what I should have done was work from the bottom, work my way up. That's what I'm doing now. That's why it took me a long time. But I would recommend you go to LinkedIn, check it out. But not to get off the subject, but the question I was going to ask is, how can people follow you on social media? Are you on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn?
So I am on Facebook. I have a very small presence on Twitter and Facebook, but Instagram is where I'm mainly at. It's where I post everything. So guys, and hopefully you guys have Insta. It's such an amazing app. I love it. So Ryker _Baloun _official, RYKER_BALOUN _official. It should pop up. And man, I hope you guys enjoy the content I put out. I've got just positive vibes, and it's positive, but it's also, my goals to change some lives. So I mean, I'm working on it, but I try to be just positive and light. So yeah, that's where you guys can follow me. I am LinkedIn. I'm not on LinkedIn really. I'm working on it though. I go to LinkedIn to check out people, producers, and people. If I'm auditioning for a part, I look at the director and I look at all the recommendations and all that. But I don't really have a presence on LinkedIn. So yeah.
No, it's actually a really good website to get behind. We can talk about that off the air. My last question for you is, when I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, because I know you did a fan support picture before we got to do the episode. So the question I want to ask you is, what was your first honest reaction to the invite? What made you say yes, and how do you feel now, and what do you recommend it to everyone out there?
Okay, my first honest reaction, because I do get people wanting to interview and all that stuff, and that's why it took me so long, because people, and that's why you are so persistent, and I love it, because people say that and then they just die off, and then new people come and that's the same thing, and it's just like, oh yeah, I'm busy, because I am busy, but I'm extremely busy this week, but it's just because I'm like, yeah, we'll set up a time maybe, and then usually they just never respond, don't get back, it's fine, but you just kept going. I was like, oh my gosh, and my first reaction was like, man, this guy, I was like, I don't know him, my friends don't know him, because I asked my friends, like, but I mean, he wants to interview me. I don't usually get interviewed because I'm the interviewing host. I was like, and I was like, wow, that's real. And I took a second to look back, because every time I'm presented with an opportunity, I either not think I'm better than it, not think I'm better than anything. I took a step back. I was like, this is an amazing thing, and I'm very lucky to have this opportunity. So then I reached out, and we eventually got the time, and that's where we are today. So that was my first honest reaction. You just heard it when you reached out to me, and I'm so glad I did it. Thank you for this amazing interview. Guys, KeithAndrewNetWork.com. I think I got it. Guys, check out his website.
Now, I do have a couple questions for you off the air about wrapping up. It was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest, and I'm looking forward to part 2 down the road.